Good afternoon, guys. I believe people will be joining soon, so let us wait for a few more minutes. I think no one joined, only three, right? Except three other didn't join. So let us start. Let's not waste our time, right? As of now, three people are there: Ram, Sebastian, and who else joined? The person who joined, just type your name or say good morning or just say hi or good afternoon. That's all. I can understand like who joined, right? Only Ram and Subhash as of now. One more person is there. I don't know who's that. Saranya, good afternoon. Devraj, good afternoon. Lavia, hi. Devraj, okay. Okay. Let me see for 1 or 2 minutes, guys, and then I'll start. Okay, there is no one now. I think only two people are there. I don't know what happened. Sunday fever. Fine, let us start, guys. Yesterday, I think who is there now? Devraj, Saranya, Lavia. Who else is there? Only two it is showing. Anyway, yesterday we have seen what are the things we have seen yesterday? That we'll have a recap of day one. Let us have a recap of day one. We have seen numbers, handling numbers, I can say, and then we have seen handling strings. Then we have seen some collection data types like list, tuple, set, and dictionary. Right. So this is what we have seen yesterday. And today we'll be seeing something like a combination of strings and lists together. Just two topics I just which I missed out yesterday. I'm going to handle it now, and then we'll proceed further with control statements and loops. Okay. Now yesterday we have seen handling numbers. That is two types of numbers. One is int, another one is float, and then we have seen string. One minute. Okay, so handling strings, that is we have seen str, and then list, tuple. List is like whenever you do something within brackets, that is list, and then you give something within parentheses, that is your tuple. And set, either you use braces or I say set off, and for dictionary I use braces. Okay, got it, guys? Okay, now today we are going to see, I'll remove this because there should not be any confusion. Okay, now here list is actually mutable data, wherein like right. So people are typing me but not ready to join. What's the problem? 1 minute, guys. I'm sorry. Okay, fine. Now here I'm saying tuple list is like mutable. Your data can be like changed at any point of time. I can have some list of data, and then when I say tuple is immutable. Otherwise I can say tuple is a immutable list. And then next is set. Set is that, right? If I want to have only like unique data, I'll be using set. And the dictionary is where like key value pairs. Okay. Next today we are going to see that's the combination of string and list, right? We are going to see two important things. One is split, another one is join. So let me say split. Now split is a function. Let us see how to use this function. Okay. So if I want to use the function split, right? What is the use of the split function? First I'll tell you that, right? For example, if I have a string, call this, let me say info, and then say this is my Python class, right? If this is my string, if I want, yes, Ram, it is not showing how many people are watching. I can see only two people are watching. There is some problem, I believe. I don't know, like whether really people are there or no one is there. I believe no one is there. Ram is there. One more person. Who is the next person apart from Ram? Can that person key in? Just say hi so that I can understand who are the two people. One is Ram, another one is. I'm not getting any update, guys. There is some problem. Just give me a minute. Let me check what is the problem. Okay, Sarita is there, Subhash is there, Devraj is there, Ramkumar is there, but it's still showing only three. Ramkumar, Ramchandra, but it's not showing the people anyway. So one, two, three, four, five people are there, right? Ramchandran, Ramkumar, Devraj, Subhash, and Sarita. Saranya is also there, but why it is not showing? Anyway, if you're watching, that's okay, guys. Fine. Okay, so let us start. I will like it, but it's showing. It's not showing the count here. Anyway, that's okay. Fine, no problem. Now, if I have a string like this, right, info, and I have a string like this, right, if I want to split this string, right, I can do it, right, with the help of split method. I'll say info dot split, right. So info is the string. Excuse me. Info is the variable that is holding the string. This is my Python class, and I'm splitting it with the help of split function. Now, when I split, it will be splitted and stored inside a list. So it returns a splitted value and stores inside a list. Let me say my list and then do like this. And let me say print my list. And when I run this code, you can see the string which is given here is split based on the space, right? Can you see that? This, wherever space comes, the string is getting splitted, right? So wherever space is there, the string is getting splitted. Now the string is getting splitted based on the space by default, right? If I have something else, what will happen? I'll tell you that as well, right? But as of now, I'm splitting the string and storing it inside a list. Okay, so these are splitted strings inside my list. Now, if my string is like this, I say this is my Python class. Now, where every word is separated by a comma, right? So here in my string or a sentence, every word is separated by a comma. So when I separate by a comma and when I say the same thing, split, right, info dot split, and run this code, 1 minute, it was a typo error, nothing. Now you can see I have one complete data inside my list, because split by default splits based on space. But here I have some statement which there is no space at all, right? So here there is no space at all. Then how will I split? I have to split based on comma. So I need to give it here. So when I give here, it will be splitting it based on the comma. Can you see that? Right? So based on the comma, the data is getting splitted and stored inside my list. You with me? Everyone? Okay. Now, if I want to, after splitting my string, right? If I have a like list of data, right? I have a list of data that I want to store it as a complete string. I can do that with the help of join function, right? For example, like this. I'll take the same example. If this is my list, I'll say my list assign. Consider this is my string, right? Now, if I want to join all these words, these are actually five different words. This is my Python class, five different five different words are there, right? If I want to concatenate all these things and make it as a sentence, right? So instead of putting it plus plus everywhere, right, taking everything from the list and then concatenating, that's not going to be like easy. That's going to be a tedious work, right? So what I can do is that I can concatenate with the help of join method, right? So let me say my str, let it be my str, and then I'll say dot join. I'll tell you what is that. Join of my list. Now here what will happen? It will take every word, right? It will take every word and will join. Join with what? A colon. What is given here in between the colon? Nothing. There is nothing there, so it will join tight packed, right? When I give a space here, So it will take every word from the list and join it with a space and store it inside a string. Now let us see what's happening. If I say print my string, and when I do this, you're getting a complete sentence, right? Now what it is doing, it is joining every word, and before and after every word, like sorry, after every word it is joining a space, right? So when I say I'll take this, put a space next to it, and take s, put a space next to it, and then put my, and then like that it will take every word and put a space in between and then concatenate it. Okay, if I want to concatenate with comma, yes, I can do that, right? I'll just say comma join. So this is my Python class. You can see after the last word there is no comma, right? So it joins everything with just a comma, but then after the last word there will not be any comma at all. You with me, guys? Okay, so this are the use of split and join function, right? So I've said about split and also about join function. Split function helps me to split the string based on space or based on any key, any special character or character that I give, and then store it inside a list. And when I say join, it will take word by word from the list and joins it and store it as inside a string, right? This is what I thought of saying you about split and join. Okay, I would have taught you yesterday itself, but since we didn't find time yesterday, I am telling you now. Okay, so you have any doubts in split and join? Shall we proceed further? Fine, guys. I think you understood. So let us see about control statements. Okay. Now, when I say control statements, the control statements helps me to control the flow of my program. Usually, the program flow goes line by line. It will execute the first line. Okay, Sarita, split can happen only with space and comma. No, Sarita, it can happen with any character. You can give any character. It's not required to be space and comma. It can be on any character. Like for example, if I say hash in between, if my words are separated with hash, I can just say hash here. So what on based on what which character you want to split, it can happen based on that, right? So let me say here. Can you see that? So based on the hash character, the words are getting splitted and stored inside the list. Hope your doubt is cleared. Okay. Now let us see control statements or conditional statements, right? So usually like your program flow goes like one by one, first line, second line, like that. If I want to control the flow of my program and then like stop the flow, okay. Yes, guys, it is available. Yes, yes, Lavia, it is available. Okay, what I was talking about, right? So if I want to control the flow of my program, right, first line, second line, third line, if I want to control it and change the flow of my program, or if I want to work based on some condition, right? So based on the condition I want to control the flow of my program, I'll be going for control statements, right? So let us see what are the control statements that are available in C. One is, next one is else, and third it's elif, right? So if, else, and elif. Now these are the three things that are available in Python to handle the flow of your program, right? Control statements. In C, people who are already from other programming languages like C or Java, like you will be having if, else, else if, right? So this elif is a replacement for else if. Okay, and one more thing that I want to say here, you will be using indentation instead of braces, right? In Java, C, or C++, you will be using braces to say that this things comes under the if, or these things come under else, or these things come under else if, elif. But here we'll be using indentation. In Python, indentation is must. If I miss indentation, then it will throw me error. Okay, so let us write a small program for you to make you understand how to use this if. Before that, let me tell you the syntax for it. Okay, the syntax of if goes like this: if condition colon and then a tab space. The next line, whatever statements that comes under the if, there should be a tab space. Now here I can say use my statement, right? And then if I want, if a statement which is outside the if, then I have to come back, right? I'll say outside if. This statement is outside if. But whatever statement that I give within a tab space, that will be inside my if, right? If condition, statement 1, statement 2, how many ever statements you want, you can give. And whatever statements that you want to give outside if, that should come back to my normal position. But if I feel any statement is there inside, that should come within the tab space. Okay, so the indentation in C, sorry, in Python is we'll be using a tab space, right? So instead of braces, we'll be using tab space. And this is syntax for if. Okay, let me give the syntax for else. If I say I have if and else together, how the syntax will be, that is what I'm going to tell you now. So syntax for else. Say else colon, right? So you can see after if, after the condition, I'm putting a colon, right? And after else, I'm putting a colon, right? So it means that it is a condition that I'm checking there. Okay, now here for people from other programming language, right? If you are from C or C++ or Java, you can take this way, right? Wherever you keep semicolon in C, C++ or Java, here you will not keep anything, right? And in Java, on C++ and C, wherever you don't keep semicolon, here you will keep colon. Got it? So in C or C++ or Python, you will not give any semicolon next to if, but here you will you use colon here. Okay, that way, right? You can, if you want, you can understand in that way, right? So and I'll say else, and then I can give the statements there. So if the condition is true, right, here what will happen? If the condition is true, these two statements will be executed, and then whatever things outside the if block will get executed. If the condition is false, it will come out, these two statements will be skipped, it will never be touched, and whatever is outside the if will get executed. Now when this condition is true, these two statements will get executed. If this condition is false, these two statements will get executed. I repeat, if the condition is true, these two statements will get executed, and it will come outside and execute all other statements. If this condition is false, it will come to the else part. These two statements will get executed on all other statements in sequence. When I say else if, that is something different. That is what I'm going to tell you. If I say else if or elif, now here, if this condition is false, where it will go? It will go to the else part, right? So if this condition is false, it will go to the else part. And if here I don't check any condition, directly I'll execute these two statements. If this condition is false, then I want to check one more condition, I'll just give elif and then say condition. Okay, Sarita, what colon denotes here? Okay, Sarita, nothing like colon denotes, right? That is, we'll be using colon for control statements, loops, and functions. So whenever there is the end of whenever we are defining a function, or whenever we defining a if, or whenever we defining a loop, we'll be putting a colon next to it, saying that there is some statement below it that I need to consider, right? So that is why I use a colon there. Okay. If this condition is true, these two statements will be executed and it will come out. If this condition is false, where it will go? It will go to the else part. Again, it is checking for one more condition. That's the reason I'm using an elif. And if this condition is true, I will execute the statements. Uh, if the condition fails, what will happen? It will skip these two statements and then come out and execute everything in sequence. You with me, guys? Fine. So let us see some example to make you understand how it works. For example, if I want to find the a number which is given as an odd number or even number, right? So if I want to do that, I may need to get some input, right? So this is what I'm going to introduce to you first about the input function, right? If I want to get some input, I'll say var assign input. That's all, right? So this input function is will help you to get some input from the user, right? A user defined input or an input during the runtime, right? Whatever I give input, that will be stored. But unfortunately, whatever input you give, that will be in the format of string. But I want an integer value. What should I do? So wherever I am getting input, and if I want any type of input, I'll be typecasting it to that type, right? For every input that is getting from the keyboard will be considered as a string only. If I say 12, it will be considered as 1 2, that is character. And then I convert it to integer. If I want to get a float, I'll be typecasting it with float. So the input function by default returns string, so I typecast it based on my requirement. Okay. Now here let me say if var mod 2 equal to 0. Now what this condition says, if any number is getting divided by 2, and that will be giving 0. If the number, if I divide a number and the remainder is 0, then what is that? It means it is a even number, right? Else what you'll say? Else I can say print odd number. Got it? So let me run this code. It is waiting for me to give the input. Let me say 12. It says even number. Let me run this code again. Let me give 9. It gives odd number. Now here when I run this, you're getting a blank place, right? You don't know what I have to do here, right? So in other programming languages, before scanf or before scene, you will be giving a print statement, correct? Right? In C or C++, you will be giving a print statement before it. But here it is not required for me to give a print statement extra. But here itself I can input itself I can give. I'll say enter a value. I can say enter a value. So when I do this, when I run this code, it's still running. When there is a star, it means that the program is still running. um 1 minute, let me restart the kernel. Okay, now it's saying enter a value, right? So you're getting a clear information that's saying enter a value. So when I enter a value, let me say 12, it says even number, right? So if I want some information to be printed before getting the input, you can use the statement within the input function. Okay. Now if I want to find the greatest of three numbers, a very simple input, right? I want to get three inputs. Let me say a, and give here like this, enter a. Let me get three inputs, change it. Right. And if I want to find the greatest of three numbers, how will I do it? I'll just say if a greater than b, right? So I need to compare two things, right? When a is greater than, it should be greater than b, and it should be greater than c. So let me use a logical operator called as and they'll say a greater than c. You with me? I'm using a logical operator. This and is a logical operator here. I'll say if a greater than b and a greater than c, what will I say? I'll say print is greater, and I can say I have to check. So I'll say elif b greater than c. So when my b is greater than c, what will I say? I'll say print b is greater, right? And one more else if, I'll say, I'm sorry, or I can say else c is greater. You with me, right? So let me run this code for you. Let me give a as 12, b as 23, and c as 15. Now it says b is greater. Can you see that, right? So it checks among all three values and printing which is greater value, right? Now here when I say a is 23, 12, and b is 23. So a greater than b condition true, and here 12 and 15 condition true. When it comes to the else part, if I want to find among 15 numbers, then list will be using, yeah, you can use list, Sarita. Yes, you can use list. You can use a list, you can use a iterator to iterate the values, and then you can repeatedly check for it, right? Now what I was saying, right? Now like what is that, 12 is greater than 15 condition false, it will come to the else part, elif. Now here I'll say 23 greater than 15 condition true, so it will print b is greater. Now here if I want to print the value, right, if I want, if I don't want to say a is greater, b is greater, I want to say 12 or 23, or I want to say 23 is greater, what will I do? So for that I'll be using something called as format, string format, right? I'll say f, and here I'll mention the variable, right? So if I mention the variable, I'll say b is greater, it will take the value and print it here, right? So everywhere let me put a formatted string a, f, and c. Now here whatever I give within braces, or whatever variable that I give within braces, during the execution time it will take the value of it and replace it here. Now you can see how it works. Let me say 12, 23, and 15. Now you can see 23 is greater. How it says? Now I say b. What is b? Within braces, if I give the variable name, it will fetch the value and print it here. Got it? So that is how we do. Hope you understood, guys. So this is where I use my control statements, right? If else if, all these things. And in Python, you don't have switch case like language, right? In C or C++, you will be using switch case, but in Python, you don't have a switch case at all. Okay. Now let me start. Hope you understood about control statements. Now let us see loop. Okay. We have three types of loop in other programming languages. What are they? We had for, while, do while, all these things, right? In C we have for, while, and do while. In C++ also we had for, while, and do while. And in Python we have only two, that is for and while, right? So this for loop is not like your normal C or C++ or Java for loop. It is something different. That is what we are going to see. And while loop is almost same like your other programming language, right? So your while loop works in the same way as other programming language, but for loop is something different. It's a kind of for each loop. It is not called as for loop. It is, you can call it as for each loop. Let us see how this for loop works and what is the syntax for loop as well. So my for loop syntax will be going like this: for var in range. Say for var in range. What range? Range has three arguments, that is start, stop before, and then step. Do you remember that you have seen this somewhere before yesterday? We have seen this in, yes, we have seen this in the uh, slicing, right? In slicing we have seen start, stop before, and step, and there will be, you will give a colon, and then whatever statements that you are going to give, that's going to be within my for loop, right? So you have to make sure that your for loop, if y sorry your if if else elif for while, all these things must end with a colon, right? That is my, so this is syntax for your for loop. And your while loop syntax will be like this: a normal thing, I'll say while, I'll give a condition there, and then whatever statement that I am going to give within the while loop I can give, right? So this is syntax for your while loop, right? For loop is like that, and while loop is like this. Now let us see some example for loop and while loop separately. Now let me write a program to make you understand, to find the what factorial of a number. For example, if I want to find the factorial of n, right, I'll say n assign input of enter n. Now here, if I want to run my loop n number of times, what will I say? I'll say for I in range of n. So when I say I in range of n, by default it starts at 0 and ends before n. But when I say factorial, starting from 0 is not correct for a factorial, right? If I start from 0, the entire program will be 0. So let me start at 1. So I start at 1, end at n. No, where should I end? I should end at n, not 1 before n. If I say n, it will stop before n. For example, if I say 5, it will stop by 4 itself. But let me say 1. And do I have to step by anything? No, I have to go in a normal flow. So I'm not giving the step. Now here, let me say, first let me say fact assign 0. Let me have a variable called as 0. I'll say fact assign fact into I. Now my work is done. So let me come out of the for loop and I say print fact. Now every time I start a for loop, right, I have a for loop and I have something inside my for loop that should be starting from a tab space. When I complete everything, I need to come out. When I say I'm going to come out of the for loop, I need to come back to the normal position where it starts, right? So every time a loop or a control statement starts, I need to give a tab space. So this indentation is must, guys. If you miss this, you will be in trouble, right? Many people make mistake in indentation only, right? Here also same thing, right? I need to use indentation. It is must. Yeah, you're right, Rama. Fact should be 1, right? So indentation is very important, guys. If you miss that, you will be in trouble. So make sure that you're giving a proper indentation here to get the things done. You with me? Right. So let me run this code for you. Enter n, let me say 5. Factorial of 5 is 120. You with me, everyone? Okay. Now if I want to find the sum of all the numbers, sum of n numbers, what will I do? Let me write the program here. Sum of n numbers, I'll say sum of n. I cannot give 1 there, I need to give 0 there. And then when I say sum of n numbers, I'll say sum of n. Instead of giving that, I can say plus equal to. Can I do that? Yes. So instead of saying sum of n, assign sum of n plus I can just say sum of plus assign I, right? So both are same, correct? And here I say sum of n. You with me? Right. So when I say 10, it should give 55. Right. When I give 100, it should give 50. Oh my god. So when I give 100, it should give 5050. So this, you know this, right? When I give 1000, what will happen? It will say 500 500, right? So this is a trick, right? You can say when I say 10, it is 55. When I say 100, give you 5050. When I say sum of first 1000 numbers, it will be 500 500. And when I say 10,000, it will be 5000 5000. Okay, fine. So I am doing the sum of n numbers here, right? If at all a task is given to you, you have to do only the sum of even numbers. Sum of only even numbers. So when I say I want to add the sum of even numbers, let me see how to write the program. So if I want to find the sum of even numbers, what will I do? What should be my range and where should I start from? Where should I go from? Can someone chat in the chat box? I want to find the sum of even numbers alone. How will I do it? No one is there to answer. Can change the step value. Good, Sarita. For within if, okay, Lavia, for within if, Ram has said like if and I mod 2, okay, n plus 2, which I is that, okay. All are right answers. All are right answers. But what I prefer is instead of running my loop from 1 to n, take the value, check for a condition whether it is even or odd, then odd, do it. That's a bigger process. As Sarita said, I can just say step 2 and then start from 2. So I'm going to start from 2 and I'm going to step by 2. Yes, Ram. Yes, you can do it, but like that's a bigger process, right? What I can do is that I can start from 2, go till n, but I am going to step by 2. How will I step? 2, and then if I step 2 from 2, what it will happen? 2 4 6 8, like that. Okay, let us see how it works. Let me say 10. It is going to add 2 4 6 8 and 10, correct? So 10 plus 10 plus 10, it becomes 30. You with me, everyone? Right? So I can use an if here, I can use it. Yes, you can use it, but when we have a simpler method to do it, we can use it, right? I can step by 2 and add the values. Thank you for responding, Kalpana, Lavya, Ramkumar, Ramcharan, and Sarita. Thank you very much for responding. Okay, good. Hope you understood this, right? So the maximum we need to try to avoid the conditions and control statements and the number of loopings in your Python, because Python takes a large number of time to do the work. If I use much number of loops and conditions in Python, it takes lot of time, right? You have to reduce the time. So to reduce the time, we may need to find some shortcuts to do it, right? Not like your C plus plus. Python is very slow, so we need to give him very less work. If we give him very huge amount of work, he will die. Okay, so he's that kind of person. He's a lazy person. Python is a lazy person, right? It makes the developer to become active and makes the work faster. It always finds the shortest path, right? So people those who are finding the shortest path are good for Python. And if you feel that I go only in the straight route, not the shortcuts and all, then you need to go for C and C++. Right? People those who want to grow faster and go in the shortcut, then you can use Python. Okay, guys. Okay. Ram, yeah, increment by 2. You're right, Ram. Fine. Shall we proceed further? Okay. Now, if I want to do the sum of odd numbers, what will I do? Quick, quick. Where will I start from? I'll start from 1, and then I'll go same 2 by 2. Now, this will give the sum of odd numbers. That is 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7 and plus 9 gives you 25. Got it, guys? So by incrementing, by moving the step 2 by 2, yes, you're right, right. So by incrementing the step 2 by 2, we can get this work done, right? Good, good, good. Sarita, Lavia, you answered. Good. Any doubts here, guys, in loop? If I want to do the same process with the help of while loop, how will I do it? Same, like we'll start with the same factorial. I'll get n, I'll get fact 1. Now, how will I use my while loop, right? For loop, it'll get value from here, initial value 1 to I, right? And then it'll go till the end. It'll check for the I. But how will I do it for while loop? Now, while loop, I cannot do the same process. I need to change it. Now, how will I say? I'll say while I less than equal to n. Right here, I don't have to give I n plus 1 and all. It is not required, right? I'll just give I less than equal to n. Now, my I should be initially 1, right? And here I need to do one more thing. I need to increment I. If I don't increment I, by default it doesn't do, right? But for loop does the work by itself, right? Incrementing, checking, going by step, everything it does here inside the range, right? Inside the range method, right? But here when I say while loop, I need to start from 1. I need to go till n, check for the condition. Based on the condition, I'll go inside. If it is I less than equal to n, if the condition is true, I'll go inside and then does the work, right? So let me try this program for you. I'll say 5. I get the same answer. You with me? Any doubt here? So this is how while loop works, right? For loop works in a different way. I need to give a range, but for while loop, I need to give the initial value. I need to check for the condition. I need to change my value. If I don't give this line, the program will become an infinite loop, right? So if I don't increment the value, if I don't increment the value of I, right, it will become infinite loop. Got it, guys? Okay, if you have any doubts, just chat it. Then I'll proceed further to tell you how to iterate through the values, iterate through objects with the help of for loop. If you have any doubts till your control statements and loop as of now, whatever I taught till now, you have any doubts, to let me know. I'll clarify doubts and then we'll go for other program. No doubt. Okay. Fine. Let us proceed further and check how to iterate through objects. Now, as of now, we have seen like using a for loop on particular value or particular limit, I go to that and then I stop from there, right? Now let us see how to iterate through objects. Now let me say I have an object that is list, right? And then I'll say 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and 10. These are my values, right? Now if I want to iterate through the values of my list and add the value, how will I do it, right? I'll say for I in my list. Simple. Now what this for loop will do, this will iterate through the object my list, take every value from it and put it in I every time, and then do that. So let me do the same sum of numbers. Let me say sum of n. I'll give sum here first. Sum of n is 0, right? And I'll say print sum of n. When I do this, it is adding all the values inside my list, right? So if at all I want to add or if I want to do some operation on, or if I want to take the values which is there inside my list one by one and do something to it, I can use a for loop, right? Because for loop helps me to iterate through the object and take the value, right? So here I'm iterating through the object, right? My object is my list. I'm iterating through it like 1 2 3 4 5 6, every value one by one it will take, and I'm doing the process. When I say my list, it takes the first time, it takes the first value, second time it will go to the next value, it will not take the same value again and again. Got it, guys? So I can easily iterate through my object with the help of for loop. Either it is a list or a tuple or anything, right? I can iterate through my objects. You have any doubt here, guys? Iterating through the object? Okay. Um, if the variable is not initialized with a value, then what is the basic value given to it by Python? See, I variable, if I do like this is invalid. I have to give like this, or else I have but initially itself, like if I initialize something to my variable, only the variable will be created, right? Or else the variable will not be created. Got it? So if I want to use this variable, that variable need to be initialized either with 1 or 0, whatever it may be, right? Without initializing, how the variable will take type. For example, if you take any other programming language, you will be using a data type. For example, int a, float b, char c, like that. But here in Python, you don't have any data type. You have to give a variable and give a value to it. So as and when you give a value, then only it will be making its type. Till that, it doesn't have any type. What about, what is that, I in the for loop? What value is given that? Okay, fine. So initially I is just a variable, right? As of now it is nothing. When I take some value 1, when I take 1, 1 will be stored in I, right? When I take 1, 1 will be stored in, and I will become integer. Then at that time only it will get initialized. Till that I is nothing. Okay, till that I is nothing. Your doubt is clear? Shall I proceed further, guys? Still you have any doubts? Okay, good, you got it. Good. So now every time a value is taken from the list, that will be stored inside I. Till that I is nothing. Okay, good. So like this, I can iterate through anything. Even I can iterate through a string. For example, I'll say for I in, I can give a string here. I'll say Samuel Edison. I can give a string directly also, and then I say print So this will print my value one by one, right? So it will take SAMUEL, and if you want to put it inside a string, yes, that also I can, inside a variable also I can do. Let's say where I can even iterate through a string. So if I iterate through a string, I take every character and then put it inside my variable I. You have any doubts, guys? Shall we proceed further? Okay. Iterate through a object, either it is a list or a string. I can iterate through it and get each and every value from the list or a tuple or a set or a string, and then use it here like this. Any doubts? Good. So let me proceed further. Now if I want to take every character and store it inside a list, character by character, right? I can use split to split based on space. But if I want to take every character and put it inside a string, how will I do it? Sorry, inside a list, how will I do it? Let us see how to do it. I'll say like this. Let me say my list, an empty list that I've created. Now here what I can do, I'll say my list dot append of I, and then let me try to print my list. When I do this, what happens? Every character is taken and then it is appended into my list. And when I print the list, you can say SA, everything is a element in my list. Okay, if I, Sarita asked a question, if I want to print in horizontal, by default it prints new line, right? Other programming languages, you need to give /n to get a new line. But in Python, you by default it goes to the next line. If I want the value to be printed with some space, I'll use a argument, a parameter called as end, and then put a space here, so that your values will be printed in horizontal format. So end space means instead of new line, I'm changing my end, right? I'm changing it to space so that my data is stored in space. If I want my data to be stored, printed in the with tab space, I can just say tab space. But since tab space is too huge, I've given a space there. If you want two spaces also, I can give two spaces.